He could.
This is the Tom and Jerry Sports Show
on All Noise Radio.
I'm Jerry.
Go.
And I'm Tom.
Oh. What? Shoots and scores. What a play by Cano. What? Wait.
All Noise Radio. The noise you can't ignore.
You're listening to the Tom and Jerry Sports Show on All Noise Radio and the Live 365 app. I'm here again with Kevin Donlin.
How you doing?
We're going to get into some baseball here. We have big sports coming up because you got the NBA Finals starting this week. You got the Stanley Cup Finals starting this week. You know, baseball is coming close to the All-Star break. We're going to start looking into that as well.
Some mid-season analysis, to say the least.
Yeah, basically. But the two New York teams are still sporting the first place honor.
Yeah, I mean,
right now,
I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised by that. I mean, the way both of these teams have been playing, the New York Yankees are definitely not playing championship baseball right now, but that division...
They're not even playing first place baseball.
Oh, no. That division has been absolutely atrocious. I don't see a single threat in that division right now. The Red Sox... Well, the Red Sox pitching is, disgusting.
They have the pitching, they just don't have the hitting. But the thing is, especially just with... Tampa Bay was supposed to have the pitching, and then they lose their their best pitchers.
Yeah.
To season
right
ending.
now, it seems like their pitching is a strong point of them. Their hitting has been, aside from Evan Longoria, who's really not even having I've seen him have better seasons, but when you're getting paid as much as he's getting paid, where's the urge? You know what I mean? Yeah. But he really is going to have to pick it up if he ever wants to get a big contract eventually in his career. But, yeah, honestly, you look at every team in this division, and you see the Baltimore Orioles, they got the hitting, but their pitching is nowhere to be found. Same thing with the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay's vice versa. And the Toronto Blue Jays are in that category with Baltimore, where, they got the hitting, but the pitching is just a question mark. And it's, not one of these teams in this division are really... They seem like a threat right now because they're really unbalanced. And
see, but even with these teams that have the pitching, they don't have the bullpen.
Yeah.
So, that's the problem with
every team, I would say, in the division, aside from the New York Yankees.
Except for the Yankees, yeah, exactly. And right now, that's the strongest point of the Yankees.
Yeah, it's been their relievers shutting it down because let's say our starting pitching, with injuries and everything, it's been kind of thin.
Look at Betances. Betances hasn't even given up an earned run. Yeah. And God knows how long.
And that was a question mark going into spring training. Yeah. His velocity was definitely down from last year, and a lot of people were worried going into the season. But, this guy's stuff is filthy.
Even Andrew Miller. Andrew Miller before, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago, he didn't give up a run at all.
So you're talking about an eighth and ninth inning without an earned run, almost, a fourth into the season, which is unheard of, to be honest. You ask any MLB team, they're literally going to sit there and pray for something like that.
Exactly.
And, the Yankees are getting that at full charge right now. The hitting has been there, I think, considering some of the injuries. I think some of the biggest surprises this year for me, hitting-wise, has been Brett Gardner. This guy looks like he's going to be a 300 hitter.
I've been saying it since he, started for the Yankees. Basically, that this guy was going to be, even during his rough, start as a Yankee, I said this kid is going to be a big part of this team. And then the year that he went down with his injuries and we had trouble scoring, I said he was the reason that we didn't score runs.
You got to get guys in runnings and scoring position. You can't just have a lineup full of guys that are going to hit one out because, home runs do, especially, I understand playing in Yankee Stadium, but, home runs are not easy to come by no matter what stadium you play in.
Not to mention... This guy in the outfield is pretty, is a top outfielder in the league.
The speed always helps.
Just the speed, his arm has gotten a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
And it's just he's just a solid left fielder.
He's been a solid player all around. Something the Yankees really needed.
Even when he was in center field, he was a solid center fielder until we got Jacoby Ellsbury, and then now you just have a tandem of a speed. 1 and a 2. that can get on base, can steal bases. Then you put them in the outfield, and they both can cover as much ground as anybody in the league.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, right there, it's just huge to know that you have, two guys in the outfield that can cover basically 85% of the outfield. Mm-hmm. Then you have a number 1 and a number 2, in the lineup that are going to get on base, that can hit for average, that can even go for the long ball if they,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
if they get the right pitch.
They're complete players. I mean, and it's very important for the New York Yankees to, especially, losing Robbie Cano, which we did see the other night. Yeah. And guy's struggling right now.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get into that in a little bit. We'll talk about the Mets real quick. Basically, I mean, they're Mets, like I said, they're in first place.
Yeah. They're playing. They're playing some
division.
decent.
Their division also. I mean, aside from the Nationals, but the Nationals aren't playing to their, to what we thought they were going to,
well, absolutely.
They
went out and into free agency, and the Yankees show that going out in free agency and getting these big name free agents can turn into wins. But right now, Washington's making it look like it's not true whatsoever. I mean, their pitching that they've gone out and gotten is Max Scherzer and Fister. Obviously having the number 1 draft pick in Strasburg and Bryce Harper. I mean, this team was ready, to excel. I mean, they went out and got Jason Worth a couple of years ago. Jason Worth,
definitely a good pickup. I like.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the guy's got an arm like I've never seen before, to be honest. I mean, he's actually shown a little bit more power up in Philly, but obviously since he's been down in Washington, he's the power's gone down a little bit for him. Their hitting has really been a big struggle for them. They're in a ballpark that isn't really too pitcher friendly, so it's
basically other than Bryce Harper.
Yeah, Bryce Harper's having a hell of a year right now for them, and he's a big reason why they're playing pretty decent baseball. Yeah. But right now, the New York Mets are really they're holding it down right now. They're Bartolo Colon obviously has fallen off the last couple of starts, but he had a great start to the season. Something that let's be honest, nobody saw coming. I mean, I saw it coming last year. After obviously mid-season, the guy had a great year.
Yeah.
But for a guy throwing, 88, I mean, this is the major leagues. I mean, guys are going to catch up to 88-mile-per-hour fastballs. I mean, you can place it as well as you can, which he's done very well. But to some degree, these are major league baseball hitters.
Like if he's having an off day, it's going to be a very.
And we're talking
very,
like an inch or two. I mean, if it's an inch or two off the spot, I mean, he's going to get rocked. Yeah. And that's exactly let's be honest. The guy has great control. The guy walked. It was some crazy number on how many walks he had in the beginning of the season. I mean, I think he had like 1 walk per 36 innings, which is like unbelievable. Yeah. And they showed they showed a stat on a New York Yankee game, believe it or not. And Michael Pineda was pitching that day, and Pineda had like a 16.5 inning to walk ratio, which is pretty good. And I mean, the rest of the class was right around that area. But then you saw he was second because first was Bartolo Colon sitting there with a 34-1, which was like unbelievable. So I mean, there's no taking credit away, but I mean, the guy's getting a little older now. It gets much more difficult, I should say, to go out there and pitch effectively for your team. The Mets, honestly, the pitching's there.
Yeah. I mean, DeGrom was perfect through 5 yesterday.
Unbelievable. Very, very good player, man. I mean, this is like a needle in the haystack for the New York Mets. I mean, this guy's been great, and they didn't expect it.
See, my problem was, and I even said it to you off the air, DeGrom will probably be a very good pitcher. He's pitching well right now. And my problem was he's doing this against okay teams.
Yeah. Well, San Diego's been dealing with a little bit of injuries. Yeah. I think Will Myers is still out for them. But, they still got some hitters and Matt Kemp and stuff like that. So, they're...
Yeah, I just feel like, he dominates against these, pretty bad teams. And then, he goes up to a good team and kind of has trouble. Yeah. He definitely had trouble against the Yankees.
Well, yeah, I mean,
we know that.
But was that game in Yankee Stadium?
Yes, it was.
Well, that's, again, you know what it is? It's just, when you're playing in Toronto and you're playing in Yankee Stadium at Baltimore, these are parks with, they got good hitting teams for, a reason, because they, they're in a ballpark that isn't, the size that you expect it to be. I mean, San Diego's a very difficult park it's actually a very friendly park, I should say, to pitch in. Same with Citi Field.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, again, you're going to play 81 games.
81 games, yeah.
At home, and then you're at Citi Field. I mean, listen, if you can get a pitcher that can keep the ball in the ballpark and try to keep the runs down, I mean, it's as effective as anything. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, DeGrom seems like the ace right now for this team compared to, what Matt Harvey's done the last couple of starts.
Yeah, basically talking about, hitter-friendly ballparks and pitcher-friendly ballparks. One of the pitcher-friendly ballparks is definitely Safeco Field.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And it's a head scratcher when you think that Cano left Yankee Stadium, a very, very, very hitter friendly ballpark,
absolutely,
to go to Safeco Field to a pitcher-friendly ballpark.
I mean, like Felix Hernandez. I mean, Felix Hernandez has been a great starter. I mean, listen, you put him in Yankee Stadium, he's going to be vulnerable.
Yeah,
but I mean,
definitely.
But at the same time, he plays at Safeco, and I mean, even though Teixeira was still able to get one out on him, that was a great, big confidence boost for the Yankees.
Definitely.
But like going back to Cano, the guy struggled. I mean, but this is a guy that, not only are the home runs down, which I saw coming a mile away, you went from Yankee Stadium to Safeco Field. I mean, it's a big difference. And we're talking like completely different ballparks, a hitter-friendly up to a pitcher-friendly ballpark. And basically, the average is down too on him, which is like something that I didn't see coming a mile away. This guy is a raw hitter.
That's a big problem. And like I said, he hits to all fields. He's not a pull hitter. He's not, he can hit to all fields. He's got power to all fields. He can hit bombs to the opposite
line drive
field.
hitter, too. I mean, from what I remember, this guy was a line drive threat. I mean, he looked like the ideal number 2 hitter to follow Derek Jeter, to be honest.
Absolutely.
I saw it coming a mile away. But
I even saw him at the number 3 spot, too.
Well, yeah, he's definitely in that little mix right there for 2 and 3 right before, and he showed a lot of power. Gave Joe Girardi no choice but to bat him fourth, but not to mention Teixeira being hurt and stuff like that. If Teixeira was in that lineup still, you probably saw him at number 3 more than you saw him at number 4. But the numbers have clearly gone down on this guy. This guy was, this guy's raw talent, man. I mean, this guy looked like he would never even try in the field.
In everything.
He wouldn't even try in the field, and he was just an automatic at second base.
He's got such a strong arm.
Yep.
His
confidence is at an all-time high.
He even has good range for a guy that is a bigger guy. Yep. Definitely a bigger second baseman. I mean, you don't see the size of a second baseman like you do with him.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 foot 210. I mean that's kind of around, but he's
that's a
big
good size.
Body.
Yeah, that's a good
big
size.
Body.
This guy's muscular,
for a second
man.
baseman. That's kind of like, I mean, I would even say that's like shortstop kind of size, maybe third base. You know.
Well, we're all, again, like, he might just have trouble in these big ballparks. I mean, he dominated the home run derby one year, and then the next year they went to Kansas City, which we all know is a pitcher-friendly ballpark, and he couldn't even hit one out. So, I mean, the power is there from this guy. He's got everything, but
I said this to you, on the way to the studio. His home runs were kind of down last year, but he hit for average, and that's a big difference.
Well, I saw that. This guy's raw.
This year and last year.
Great swing.
He
Probably one of the better swings in the league
last year.
Yep.
And this year, it's just nothing's there. I mean, he's batting .246 right now.
That's. I mean, especially considering we're almost a half into the season.
But, if you look at his years, in the majors, 2006 he batted .342, played 122 games. 2007 he batted .306. 300.
Exactly.
All day. I mean, 2008 he batted .271.
How many homers?
He had 14 home runs. Before 2009, he didn't break 20.
Wow.
And then...
But he was an average hitter, yeah. I mean,
2009, he played 161 games, which was huge. Hit 25 home runs, 85 RBIs, batted .320, though.
320, 319, 302, 313, 314, 314, and now a 246.
That's what I'm saying. There's a big
drop
difference.
He's gonna have to hit 380 the rest of the season to meet that number.
Exactly. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna get back into this, and we're gonna talk about other big contracts that came out, and basically, how these contracts are hurting their teams, and basically, I guess the player stats, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we're gonna take a break. You're listening to Tom and Jerry Sports Show on All Noise Radio on the Live 365 app. Keep it locked.
Our jobs occupy more than half our waking hours. Shouldn't we be doing something we love? Call Connecticut School of Broadcasting at 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to gocsb.com. Since 1964, Connecticut School of Broadcasting, with a network of 12 campuses from Massachusetts to Miami, has helped place thousands of grads as DJs, sportscasters, entertainment reporters, behind the scenes in audio and video production, every aspect of the broadcast media. Connecticut School of Broadcasting has trained men and women of all ages and backgrounds in a matter of months, not years. Learn by doing from area radio and TV pros. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to gocsb.com. Remember, it's never too late to love what you do. Day and evening classes begin soon. Get trained. Get connected now.
Eastside night.
Welcome back to the Tom and Jerry Sports Show on the All Noise Radio and Live 365 app. We finished up discussing Robinson Cano and his struggles, and we both, I think, agree here when we say that, baseball has been a sport where you see these guys get these, outrageous contracts, and we're talking a lot of money, hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, people don't understand, like, football players are making about, on average, $2 to $3 million a game. But obviously, they're playing less and all this, and then there's the debate on that. But
yeah,
that's a lot of money, $100 million contracts.
See, and we've talked about the difference between sports and their monies.
The games played, and
but I mean, not even that. Just how the contract works for these sports. I mean, when you're looking at football is guaranteed money. Guaranteed money. You get a contract. $100 million contract, you're guaranteed $25 million of that. The only money that you are definitely going to get is that $25 million. You could be in OTAs or something like that, tear your leg up, end of your career. The only money that you're going to make out of that $100 million is that $25 million that is guaranteed. That's a big difference.
That number's starting to go up in the NFL too, though.
Definitely. But it's kind of better for the owner of the team, of the organization. Exactly.
You try to protect your money. I mean,
yeah, definitely, because basically you can see like these contracts in baseball, like an Albert Pujols type contract, a Josh Hamilton type contract, an Alex Rodriguez type contract, and you can basically say, all right, you're not producing like we thought you were going to when we gave you this $265 million contract. We're getting rid of you. You could do that in football. You can do that in, I mean, you have the guaranteed money. The only money that you're going to give him is that guaranteed money. That's it. If he plays out that contract, obviously he's going to get that whole contract money. But in baseball, can't do that. You give him a $265 million contract, you got to give him the $265 million, no matter what.
That is a lot of money.
He could be out of the league for 10 years. You still have to pay him every single penny of that $265 contract, and that's a $265 million contract.
That's a lot of money, man. I'm sorry. That's, I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I'm just coming from the human standpoint here. I mean, just basic human knowledge. I mean, you get paid $265 million. It takes a hell of a lot of weight off your shoulders. Oh. I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, is the work ethic there for all these players? I don't see it. I mean, personally, that's just, you work your whole life to try to make that kind of money. And I'm not taking away from these people, from these guys' work ethic. But I mean, to some degree, the performance level, is dropping after the money's getting paid. I mean, I could tell you and list the names right now off the top of my head that'll, prove my point exactly. I mean, Albert Pujols, I think he's having a decent year this year, but I haven't heard his name once since he left the St. Louis Cardinals.
At all.
I mean, and listen, when I say he's playing decent, I'm saying, he's getting a decent amount of home runs this year. You got to remember, this guy was unstoppable with the St. Louis Cardinals. Unstoppable.
It got to a point where they thought he was the best hitter in the league.
And that's the same thing I thought with Robinson Cano. That's the same exact thing. We just talked about his numbers. 300 hitter, and we're talking 25-plus home runs.
Yeah.
Where do you see that in any kind of, where do you see that anymore? And now, again, I said, playing in Seattle, big difference. All right, a much bigger ballpark. The home runs are obviously going to go down. But when you're batting 246 on a guy that's been batting 300 for the past 5-6 years, that's, something's going on. Obviously, either your head's not there, you don't have the mentality that you have as a Yankee when you're trying to make that money, when you're trying to get that kind of a contract, the urge isn't there. And baseball is a sport where dedication is needed to the top level. The only there's one person that I can mention forever, to prove my point here, and that's Derek Jeter. You need the dedication. You got to put the work in no matter what. This guy was getting paid millions of dollars, gets hurt, and he's doing everything in his power to get right back because he wants that shortstop spot in New York. Joey Votto, another example. We're talking MVP numbers. Okay, this guy, big another time. Unstoppable force. Gets paid a whole lot of money, and again, I'm not going to say he's the worst player ever, but the numbers certainly went down on this guy.
See, you know what? It's not even the contract money now. All right, Miguel Cabrera, $292 million in the contract. Giancarlo Stanton, $325 million. The biggest thing out of all of this, though, Giancarlo Stanton's contract is 13 years. Miguel Cabrera is 10 years. Alex Rodriguez, 10 years. Robinson Cano, 10 years. Albert Pujols, 10 years. Joey Votto, 10 years. I mean, there's a pattern here.
Prince Fielder, 9. I mean,
there's a pattern.
Yeah, it's a lot of years.
All right. Now these guys. Now, like the whole thing with Robinson Cano, Yankees actually were smart on this. All right, they were really smart on this. They told him they would give him the money. All right, I think he got what, $240 million. I think they offered him maybe $215, $220. I think it was around that. But it wasn't for 10 years. They knew that they could not give him 10 years. There's no way. This guy is 29 years old going into this contract. 29 years old. Why in anybody's right mind would you give a 29-year-old
You're giving him $25 million a year for when he's 38, 37, and 39 years old. I mean, look at him at 30. At 30, it's already gone down to 246. So where do you think it continues to go from here? I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to go lower, but it's going to probably stay in that area.
Yeah, I mean, how old is Giancarlo Stanton? I would have to say 25, 26 right now.
Yeah, he's a younger guy. But I mean, listen, Miguel Cabrera, Giancarlo Stanton, they're proof that, listen, it isn't all players like this. I mean, not every player is like that. Derek Jeter's another proof.
But again, you have to see what that proof is going to be when they start hitting 31, 32. 33.
Of course, age comes 35. Into a factor 100%. I'm not going to sit there and disregard that at all, but they at the same time there is a trend. Yeah. I mean, and it makes Major League Baseball and the owners of these teams second guess what they want to do. I mean, listen, there's a lot of teams out there that won't even dare to go near contracts like that. I mean, you're looking at the Oakland Athletics, a team that's been very good for years. Oakland, I mean, I have such respect for that team. And we're looking at a team that hasn't paid. I mean, listen, $250 million contract for Alex Rodriguez is does the Oakland Athletic entire organization even equal up to that?
No.
And they make sure of it. And once they have the talent that's gone out there and shown, they get rid of it.
And before Miami went on a little spending spree, he was making more money than all of them as well.
Yeah, I mean Listen, these contracts they're outrageous. I'll be honest.
Do you want to? We'll take a look into these contracts.
Well, look at Miami ballpark right now. I can only imagine what they're trying to charge for seats right now. And you look at their ballpark day in and day out, and there's no one going there because I'm sorry, personally, I'm never going to spend $300 a seat ever a day in my life. Am I taking the seat home with me? You know what I mean? Like
the thing is now we're going to look deeper into these contracts. All right, how many games are in a season?
162.
162. All right. Miguel Cabrera making 10 years, $292 million. He's getting $180,000 per game.
Good Lord. That's just disturbing. I'll be honest.
Giancarlo, $154,000 per game.
It's like $50,000 in a bat. Are you kidding me? That's like a year's salary on the average American on one at bat.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're talking, you want these average Americans to go out there and pay to go watch. I mean, this is a lot of money, man. This is like no joke.
I mean, it's a lot different for a pitcher, but in this sense, I mean, Max Scherzer, $185,000 per game.
Well,
I mean, obviously he
once a week.
Every
Guy goes to work once a week. But I mean, listen, I'm not going to take away from everything because their practice level and all this stuff, the dedication has to be there. The work has to be there. You have to continue to be working out your strengths and making yourself better, But again, there's a lot of names that just continuously pop up. I mean, look at Jose Reyes, man.
The injury bug has killed his career, basically.
And that's the point. I mean,
since
you can't
he rounded
pay someone
that
like
base at I think it was Shea Stadium, actually.
Definitely.
Rounded that base and just pulled up with a bad hammy.
And
that was the start.
But you're talking. That's why you want to get these kind of players. Jose Reyes, back 4 or 5 years ago was, You talk to any Met fan, they didn't want to get rid of him. Why would you ever want to get rid of a player like that? We're talking a triple threat whenever you want it on a in a ballpark that's a very big ballpark, very easy to get triples.
And I always said they designed Citi Field around Jose Reyes. No doubt in my mind they did. I mean, just look at when they had. I mean, before they even moved the walls in the first time. I mean, just look at the dimensions of it. It was perfect for a left-handed batter to hit into that gap because it went to a tip at one point. Like, you remember that one time where the top section was kind of hanging over the field?
Yep.
That was a perfect little triples area for Jose Reyes. I believe that the whole Citi Field was tailored around Jose Reyes, and they thought that he was going to be a Met for life. Absolutely thought he was going to be a Met for life. I thought he was going to be a Met for life.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, who would want to get rid of him?
Nobody. He's a raw talent.
But the injury bug hit him, killed his career, but still goes to Toronto and makes 4 years, $86 million.
$86 million.
For a guy that's had problems. His first year with Toronto, injury.
Yep, and you saw it coming a mile away. I mean, he was coming off an injury. I mean, what do you expect? The same thing as in football, man. And you know what?
There's evidence that I said it. Go on YouTube. Go back to the first year of his contract, and I said it right before the season started. He will get injured. He got injured about 2 weeks later. I mean, these are just Grantland.com put out the top 15 worst contracts in baseball. They had the dishonorable mentions that didn't make the 15. You got Josh Beckett, Adam Dunn, Ricky Weeks, Jose Reyes, Andre Ethier, Jonathan Papelbon, Rafael Soriano. Then you go into the 15. Adrian Gonzalez is number 15. Prince Fielder.
Well, Prince Fielder has disappeared.
Yeah.
Since he's been in the Texas uniform. I mean, he's actually picked it up the last couple of weeks. I'll give him credit for that. But he's not the same player he was in Milwaukee. I mean, he really wasn't. I mean, you can go the same thing, and I bet you'll probably see him on the list too, CC Sabathia.
Yeah.
I mean, this is somebody that was unstoppable in Milwaukee, and then all of a sudden he signs a huge deal with the New York Yankees. And again, we talked about this. People are like, okay, the numbers will reflect, but, you're in Yankee Stadium. You're going to give up more runs, but it's just been unbelievable. Yeah. He's been worse than bad. I mean, he's been, he's not been what he was in Milwaukee. I remember watching games with this guy in Milwaukee, and this guy would win games 1-0 because he hit a solo home run for his team and then shut the other team out for 9 innings. I mean, this guy was unstoppable.
I mean, just another name, Dan Uggla.
Oh, my God.
I mean, last year he batted 179.
Major League Baseball player?
Yes.
Wow.
Starting to sound like Stephen Drew.
Starting to sound like that All-Star game. Yeah. He looks like that contract. The fact that he ever got paid a contract after the All-Star game, he showed that was what do you have? He has a record, right, for most ever errors in one inning in an All-Star game. I mean, that was pathetic. So you're not talking like a guy who's batting 176. You're talking a guy that also can't field.
Yeah.
So why you got paid is beyond me. But I mean, listen, teams are out there. They're willing to pay them. I mean, all the credit to him. I mean, for somehow getting that money. But again, like it just shows you get paid this money and the production drops.
We're going to take a break. We're going to get into some of the NFL news, some NHL Stanley Cup finals and NBA finals as well.
And also, if you want to, option out a topic of any sort, visit us on Twitter at TNJ Sports. That's on Twitter at TNJ Sports. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Tom and Jerry Sports Show on All Noise Radio on the Live 365. Keep it locked.
Connecticut School of Broadcasting founder Dick Robinson.
The media business has changed a lot since we opened our doors in 1964. Now media content is everywhere, on air, online, on the go. More than ever, companies are looking for people to help drive this new media.
At Connecticut School of Broadcasting, you'll get hands-on training on the latest software and equipment in a matter of months, not years. Connecticut School of Broadcasting has placed thousands of grads in broadcast media careers.
It's all about versatility. You see, at a radio station, if you also know how to shoot, edit, and post videos, you become a pretty hot commodity. That's the training you get at Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Connecticut School of Broadcasting with locations up and down the East Coast from Massachusetts to Miami. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to GoCSB.com. Connecticut School of Broadcasting, the nation's oldest and largest group of broadcast media schools. Redefining training in radio, TV, and new media. Get trained. Get connected. 1-800-TV-RADIO.
I never waited on a miracle. There ain't no miracles round here. There ain't no miracles.
Welcome back to the Tom and Jerry Sports Show and the All Noise Radio and Live 365 app. We said we'd go into football a little bit. A couple of football news, big stories coming out of the NFL right now. Cam Newton on the verge of signing a very huge mega deal with the Carolina.
Yeah, basically kind of adds to what we were talking about before with baseball. I mean, these max contracts. But we were basically saying how much easier it is for owners to give that kind of contract to, football players. The only thing that sucks in football is the cap.
Yeah.
You have a cap.
Of course, it makes you
Baseball,
manage your money
don't.
more.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, some of these players in the NFL, because of the cap, have a more understanding. Every player in the world wants to make hundreds of millions of dollars day in and day out. But again, with the quarterback, even in the situation too, you've seen a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL go out and shorten their contract. I mean, take less money because they want to win.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen Tom Brady do it. I've seen Eli Manning even do it. I mean, these guys want to win. Mark Sanchez did it too. Even though,
I mean, basically what they're doing is restructuring their contract.
Of course. To fit the cap better.
Yeah. So basically, they're going to make the money that they got for their contract. It's just going to be heavy on the end.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like, all right, because Romo's been doing it for the last 5 years or so. Basically what it's going to happen is they get their contract, then it goes, he makes the first year $8 million, second year $9 million, third year $10 million, whatever it is, and it goes up like that. But what happens is once you start getting into that cap hell, they call it.
Yep.
The team goes and talks to this player. Player goes, all right, I'll take, I'll restructure my contract. What happens is he gets $1 million or so that year, and then it turns into like $25 million for his last year.
Yeah.
So it's all heavy on the end.
You still, listen, he's trying to do whatever he can to win.
But that's that's basically what happens when you restructure your contract with these quarterbacks. They're going to get max contracts, but right now Cam Newton, do I think he deserves a $100 million contract? I don't know. Very good quarterback. I'll give him that. Yeah. Very good quarterback.
Listen, he had a great rookie year, and after that, he kind of fell off a little bit. So, why $100 million is beyond me. But, I guess this is a demand for a quarterback that was drafted, number one overall. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, honestly, you're looking at a guy
he got him into
face of the franchise. Well, he's the face of the franchise right now.
He got him into the playoffs.
Well, we all know in the NFL, it takes a lot more than just a quarterback to get you in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
That defense has been unbelievable.
But the defense wasn't as good as it was.
Well, yeah, but it's definitely picked it up the last couple of years, without a doubt. They've been better and better and better. And
I would say the year before last was they were insane. They were insane. This year kind of fell off. They were what, number one or number two in defense the year before last, and then last year everybody was just very surprised at what they saw with that defense, basically. But it's big news coming out of Carolina. It's supposedly close to 5 years, over $100 million. You're going to see big guaranteed money. I would have to say around 40-50 mil guaranteed. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Absolutely. Staying in the division too, the Saints actually made an upgrade as well. They went out and signed Cam Jordan a contract. They've honestly, you could tell between the draft and everything else, they're really focusing on that defense. They really need that defense to start picking it up to some degree. They've honestly been they've been struggling on the defensive side for a long time. They even went out and traded Jimmy Graham in the process.
Yeah. He got a 5-year extension with a value of $60 million max, 33.8 guaranteed.
Wow. A lot of money again, guaranteed.
Definitely, it's definitely big.
Well, that's why you get these guys' attention.
The Saints defense definitely struggled a little bit.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's the reason why they're downfall. You need to have both sides of the football in order to win a
don't get me wrong. Drew Brees didn't play his best football. At all last year.
Well, that also, like I've always said, I'm always I'm one of those that, you see a quarterback production go up and down, And I feel like it has a lot to do with the offensive line. I mean, I've seen Eli Manning have better seasons than he had this year, and it had a lot to do with the offensive line. I mean, I've also seen Tony Romo have worse seasons than I saw him last year. I mean, he was a great player last year, and that's because, when you have an offensive line protecting you, you can be, a very effective quarterback in the NFL. I mean, Peyton Manning will show you. I mean, that... he's got
Manning, Eli Manning.
Mm-hmm. They've always had dominant offensive lines.
Tom Brady, definitely.
These offensive lines have been, 1 and none with the team, and you're able to see that depending on the offensive line help, you're able to,
But it goes both ways as well. When you're talking about defense, you're talking about a defensive line, basically helping out the secondary. Like I said, your secondary does not have to be that good. If you have a pass rush that's on top of the quarterback, constantly, I mean, it's huge. It's huge for, a secondary. And it's the same thing that goes for a quarterback and its offensive line.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. We're going to actually take a phone call right now. Chris from Queens, you're on the Tom and Jerry Sports Show. Chris?
Hey, guys. What's going on?
How you doing, buddy?
What's up? So I'm a diehard Saints fan and a diehard Islanders fan, and I would like to talk about a couple of things that have been going on with the offseason with the Saints. And
Absolutely.
just a couple of events that happened with the Islanders.
Okay.
So I'm a diehard Saints fan, and when I heard that Graham was traded to Seattle, I thought it was a move that the Saints made a little too late. I think they should have gotten rid of him last year. They definitely could have gotten a couple better draft picks than what I think they got this year, but I think the trade really is going to help them improve on the offense, which is where they really need it, because they got in an all-pro, Pro Bowl center in Max Unger.
Absolutely.
And the offensive line was the parts that the Saints really needed to work on in this offseason.
Well,
so,
yeah.
They traded for one of the best left tackles in the draft this year, Andrews Teague, who I really haven't heard anything bad about him. I heard during OTA so far, all the coaches have really been loving him.
Oh, yeah. Well, honestly, we've been talking about it nonstop on this show about how important an offensive line can be to an NFL team. I mean, and we talked about how Drew Brees, you say Drew Brees, you can put this in an asterisk all you want, how he struggled, but it has a lot to do with the help. I mean, you need an offensive line to protect your quarterback. He definitely took a lot of hits throughout the entire season last year, and a big reason why the Saints offense did not look anything close to what it's been the past couple of years.
And going back to the whole Jimmy Graham trade, I mean, basically, I do agree with you, being that it did come a little late. I mean, you're waiting basically to an expired contract.
Yep.
And then basically your hand is taken away. Like you have to get rid of him now because you can't pay him that money. So now you're trading him away to a team just so you can get something back, in return for him. And
also, I mean, in the process, they took that 31st overall pick they were able to get in that trade, and they picked up a linebacker. And let's be honest, the New Orleans Saints, the defensive side of the ball was something of a little bit of a struggle for this team. And to pick up an offense, pick up a defensive help is absolutely, they just picked up Cam Jordan today. I don't know if you read that up in the news, Chris, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
maxed out $60 million contract, which is really, really big. He's definitely one of the biggest playmakers on the defense. He made the Pro Bowl.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
He established himself as one of, not the best defensive end in the league, but definitely he's working himself up to be a really, really great player.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I mean, and listen, they took the 31st overall pick, and they were able to, pick up a linebacker with that one. I mean, who was it? I think it was Stephen Anthony. Oh, yeah, out of Clemson, right? I think, yeah, he's out of Clemson. I mean, listen, this is a guy, you're looking at a linebacker that's, you need guys to come in and help. You couldn't get worse on the defensive side than the Saints were last year. They were very struggle on the defensive side. I think we can all agree with that one. They were, it was a big struggle for the Saints, and they've gone out in the draft and picked up a lot of defensive help. I mean, they just went out.
Six of their picks are on the defensive side of the ball.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you could see the side that was the struggle. I mean, listen, they still have options for Drew Brees. I mean, they got great wide receivers over there, and Drew Brees makes options. That's how good of a football player he is. And I mean, we've seen it every year.
Listen, I did like their draft. I think they drafted pretty well. One guy that definitely caught my eye a little bit was definitely Garrett Grayson.
The quarterback, right?
Yeah, because you got to start looking at, Drew Brees is starting to get a little old. You got to start looking at, basically a backup. And I think this guy can definitely come in and in a few years behind Drew Brees, and then end up taking over that starter role.
Well, especially after you're learning under Drew Brees' wing. What do you think, Chris?
Say that again?
Oh, they basically, they picked up Garrett Grayson and as a backup quarterback coming out of Colorado State. Good arm, strong arm, good mechanics from what I've seen. Someone to put under Drew Brees' wing for a couple of years. You're looking at maybe a future of the New Orleans Saints right there. What do you think?
And if you look at Brees in an interview, probably right before OTAs, when they had all their rookie mini camps and stuff, and he was saying how Brees was impressed by him. He says he's a really, really smart guy, and he says he has a lot of athletic skill and a really great talent. And I think that was probably one of the best decisions they made, because you don't want Brees to leave and then the franchise go through a couple of years of not being quarterback stable.
Yep.
Which
strapped for a quarterback, and then you pressure yourself to go out and make it. Yeah, of course.
You don't want to have to tank to get that number one pick.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Because there's never such thing as a lock. We've seen it numerous times. There's one Andrew Luck every 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and the last one from 10 years ago was Peyton Manning. So that's how it works in this league. You said you're an Islander fan too, huh? You're talking to a couple Islander fans right here, right now.
Yeah, big time.
Absolutely. I can't. You know what? I'm probably one of the only few people that can't wait for them to get to Barclays. And
I was actually telling him. Yeah, I was telling him right before we got in. Honestly, same exact thing, man. Can't wait to get back to the Barclays. Can't wait to get to the Barclays. It seems like it could be very exciting for this team. And then we could basically see some big changes. You can see a lot of big names starting to come into the New York Islanders organization, and hopefully making a big impact, a big change to this team.
I'm thinking Johnny Oduya, great defensive. He's not the top, what his game used to be. He's kind of getting old. But I'm thinking, Nick Leddy could kind of convince him to come over onto the Islanders. I really think that the market now with the Islanders and with the team and with the potential, I definitely think the free agent pool is going to, a lot more free agent hockey players are going to start looking at the Islanders and saying, okay, they're serious. They're
ready to win.
Maybe, a lot of them could consider, okay, maybe they need me. They need me to win the cup, and we can win the cup.
Absolutely.
I signed with them.
There's definitely a big change in the mindset of these free agents, without a doubt, when it comes to Long Island and, the difference now going to Barclays. It's New York. This is New York, whether it was Long Island or Brooklyn. You're in New York. You're in the top spotlight. This is a team with a lot of great history, a lot of good, a lot of great coming from this team. Basically, when you think of the New York Islanders, you're starting to think of it getting better and better. You talk to any fan of any other team from the NHL, they'll tell you the Islanders are up and coming. They're becoming more and more dangerous every year, and they're still a very young team.
Look at the development of John Tavares. Look at how he's instantly within. He's been nominated for MVP throughout the past 3 years, and he should have won a scoring title had it not been for BS.
Yeah, I can understand. Jamie Benn. That was a brutal occurrence right there. That was unfortunate for John Tavares. Listen, that one title ain't going to change the difference. John Tavares is a very good hockey player. Chris, we really appreciate you coming on Tom and Jerry Sports Show, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, buddy?
Thanks, guys.
No problem, man.
He brought up very good points about the Saints and the Islanders.
Absolutely.
Talking about the Islanders, really. But we're going to take a break. We'll get back into more some of the NHL Stanley Cup and NBA Finals when we get back. You're listening to Tom and Jerry Sports Show on All Noise Radio on the Live 365 app. Keep it locked.
I'm not the table you can come and lay your cup down on now. I'm not the shoulder for a bag. Don't want to carry a heavy load. I'm not the road that you take when you're looking for a shortcut.
All Noise Radio. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. All Noise Radio is an internet radio station that's fully produced by graduates of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. From modern rock to old school hip hop, country to classical, news, talk, sports, and more. It's the noise you can't ignore. Log on to allnoiseradio.com. Fire up the station. Find out more about your favorite jocks. Get the latest CSB news and more. Plus, you can take All Noise Radio with you on the go for free. Just download the Live 365 app to your iPhone, iPod Touch, or BlackBerry and search All Noise Radio. Check out tomorrow's broadcasters today at allnoiseradio.com. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
I'm out here. We out here. I'm out here.
Welcome back to the Tom and Jerry Sports Show on the All Noise Radio and Live 365 app. We finished with NHL talk coming out of with the New York Islanders and everything, and onto the NHL playoffs we go. The finals, very surprising for me at least. I mean, I was a big fan of the Anaheim Ducks. I really expected them to be the winner of this year's NHL Stanley Cup. They really had a complete team, but the one thing they didn't have, and the reason why it wasn't complete, the experience. And that's something that the Chicago Blackhawks had plenty of. They know what kind of hockey to play in a Game 7 going to the Stanley Cup Finals. It's a very tough game to play.
They were also missing a guy named Jonathan Taves, but,
basically you need someone like Jonathan Taves to be scoring the puck for you day in and day out.
It's serious, though. This guy is unbelievable.
Yeah, his shot is
everybody
unbelievable.
talks about Patrick Kane.
Mm-hmm.
People need to really talk about Jonathan Taves more.
The two come in a tandem. Between the two of them, it really is. It's very difficult to stop the Chicago Blackhawks.
Patrick Kane is that guy that will, pretty much continuously be there to score goals whenever, he gets the puck. But
his stick handle is unbelievable.
Jonathan
too.
Taves, when it comes down to clutch,
when you need a goal,
that's the guy.
Yeah. 100%, and he is serious. He is like a serious man. You ever watch Jonathan Taves play on a day in and day out basis? He's never smiling. I'll tell you that. And that's one thing I notice is that he's all business. When he's on the ice, it's all business. I'm not saying the guy's not a happy guy. He's probably a very happy guy. The guy's won a Stanley Cup before.
You see that with a lot of the superstars in the NHL.
You start to see a lot less smiles from these guys.
Look at John Tavares. Tavares never smiles when he's on the ice.
Oh, absolutely not.
Never. I've never seen him smile on the ice.
Same thing with Chris Kreider. Same thing with Jonathan Taves. Same thing. I can go on the list forever. These guys, they're down to business. They're there for a reason. They get paid to play the game and to entertain for the fans that come in and day out to their venues.
Sidney Crosby never smiles.
Nope. Unless they score a goal. But then of course, who doesn't smile after they score a goal? But when you're trying to score that goal, you do all business.
Absolutely.
Coming out of the other side, the New York Rangers, really hard fought series for both teams. You wanted to honestly see both these teams in the Stanley Cup final. They both played very well, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the New York Rangers. Rangers came up a little short. I think it had a lot to do. This team was definitely very good. Definitely good enough to go to the Stanley Cup final once again, without a doubt. But again, injuries come in.
We said this too, that Zuccarello's, the loss of Zuccarello was going to be huge, and it definitely showed it. But obviously, after they got knocked out, we found out more about that injury. Just like same thing that happened with Travis Hamonic.
It's a very serious situation for Matt Zuccarello.
And now, before we even get into the injury, I just don't understand why they don't come out with the injuries before, when it actually happens. We had to go through the whole playoffs before we even found out what happened to Travis Hamonic.
Well, I can understand what you mean by that standpoint, like the seriousness of Travis Hamonic's injury, the seriousness of Matt Zuccarello. You want to know, and you want to see.
You want to know that they're not going to come back. Why are you going to sit there and hope and pray that these guys come back when there is no way that they were going to even make it back?
Well, it's honestly something to, I think it's something for a mindset for the team that you're facing. You don't want to sit there and go with the whole regard. You have to prepare to face someone like Matt Zuccarello. You have to prepare to face somebody like Travis Hamonic, because these guys were two very important parts of both of these teams.
Absolutely.
But again, one big reason, and honestly, I have so much respect for the NHL with this standpoint, and I love it so much how they're able to disclose, and nobody can really know how serious or exactly where an injury is being occurred for a certain player, because let's be honest, the NHL and hockey is a very serious sport. It's a very physical sport. There's a lot of hitting, there's a lot of contact in it, and the problem is let's say you're a player on another team and you see that someone's got a serious leg injury, but it says lower body. Now you're going ahead and be like, okay, so it's the left knee, such and such. It sounds wrong to say, but it's true. This is a sport where you're trying to win, and you want to win at any cost. And in order to win, hey, listen, if I need to put an extra hit or a little bit of extra weight when I fall to the ice on someone's leg because I heard it recently got injured, and I think it's really great how the NHL is able to do that. There's no disclosure of any kind of injuries, and I think it's one thing that I even think that the NFL should start doing. I understand that, for standpoint, it's a different game and different. But again, a very physical sport.
Yeah,
right. And these guys are out to try to win. And there was a whole controversy in the NFL, even with guys injuring other players on purpose, stuff like that, or guys getting paid. Remember with the Saints,
about the Saints.
Yeah. So it's like, with them not being able to determine what injuries are in the NHL, I think honestly, it's why I love the NHL. I think it's a great thing what they're doing there. It's very smart, and it honestly prevents any kind of serious injury from occurring, to be honest. I love it.
But going back into that injury,
very
Zuccarello,
serious.
actually,
Very
it was a very serious, incident. He was hitting the head by a teammate's shot, Ryan McDonough's shot during Game 5 against Pittsburgh. And he actually lost the ability to talk for about 4 days.
Yeah, I heard part of his fractured skull had entered the brain. And that is something that, it's unparalleled. I mean, that's very, very serious. And I mean, your heart goes out to Matt Zuccarello. He's a great player. I love watching him day in and day out. I mean, he's like Rick Nash's right-hand man. I mean, they are really quite a tandem together. And, you really hope for a full recovery out of Matt. You really hope he's back for next season, without a doubt.
The doctor said that he had some blood on his brain, but they assured him that he'll be fully recovered and able to play next season, which is huge.
That's awesome.
I mean, you don't want to see something like that.
No, not at all.
That's not something that you wish upon any type of. I mean, we hate the Rangers. I mean, at least speaking for myself, I hate the Rangers. I hate everybody on the Rangers. I even hate Zuccarello. But you know what? I'm not wishing the guy not to be able to talk or walk or anything like that.
And this isn't the first serious injury the Rangers have gone through this season. Even a very serious injury at Lundqvist earlier in the year. But you're glad that he's able to make a full recovery. He's too good of a player to, for hockey, even in general.
And he played to his ability in the playoffs. He
Absolutely.
really did.
Even after the injury and everything. The guy, listen, he took the precautions that was needed to get back to a full recovery. The doctors didn't feel like he was ready to go. They thought it would be a little bit of a risk for him to go back on the ice as soon as he was going to want to come back. And I think the NHL, again, did a great job. I'll tell you, man, I have such respect for the NHL and their way to handle these injuries. I mean, they're doctors, they're specialists, they're one of the best, and they are some of the best that you'll see out there. And they really get these guys on a very physical sport back to full health and non-reoccurring situations. Which I mean, even like you talk about, even John Tavares. Tavares had a serious leg injury, and he came back this year fully recovered. And I mean, because they give them the right amount of time of rest and what kind of rehab and stuff that needs to be done in order to get back to full 100%. And I expect the same to be done with Lundqvist and the same to be done with Zuccarello.
I think I believe I just read an article about Ryan McDonough. I think he fractured his foot during the playoffs and played through it.
He was limited on the amount of times in Game 7.
Yeah, and
why.
That could have been the reason why he was getting beat by Tampa Bay forwards as well. So that's something also to look into.
Rangers really dealt with a lot of injuries. The same thing as the Islanders. Big reason why both teams go down. But I'm going to tell you something. Next year, I see a lot of the same. I think the Rangers and Islanders are both going to be up there. Yeah. I think it's new times in the NHL in New York.
Absolutely.
And I think me and my co-host and all the Ranger fans out there as well, all the Islander fans out there as well, are really looking forward to the next couple of years because hockey's getting really interesting in New York these days. Probably more interesting than any other sport right now.
Yeah, really.
All right, moving on.
Basically, This is what annoys me about the NBA. All right. Now, the conference finals for the NHL ended what?
7 games.
Saturday, I think.
Yep.
Saturday or Sunday.
Both games went to Game 7s. Both series.
Now, the NBA conference finals, I think the last game was played Friday.
Seems about like 3 weeks ago. Honestly, I mean, it's been a while. I know.
I think it was either Thursday or Friday.
Something like that.
Why is the Stanley Cup Finals being played earlier than the NBA Finals?
I think it had I'll be honest, the one reason...
It happened last year, too. It happened last year. I remember talking about it. on the show and basically saying how pissed off I am, and basically the reason why I think the NBA is just so ridiculous. Why are you going to give both teams, a week off in between? First of all, I think
this ain't the Super Bowl, man.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous because I mean,
they, honestly, I think it just had a lot to do with with the arenas, and I'm not 100%. I mean, I really don't know. I would have to say the only thing I can think of is maybe listen, you have seats that are on pre-sales for a long time. People are out there, specific dates for when the series is going to start. And, arenas only have certain times. I mean, you have other things going on in arenas, concerts, stuff like that. And that's the only thing I could think of. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not really sure.
I just think it's stupid, to have I mean.
Well, it's going to be a fun series. I mean, we have to, you really, when you go into the actual series, it's going to be really fun. I mean, you're looking at, Steph Curry, a.k.a. probably, I mean, I'll be honest, this is just my personal opinion. Yeah, he's the best shooter I've ever seen in my life. This is unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this a day in my life. And I'll be honest, I'll probably never see anything like it again. Absolutely. And I don't think any of us will, to be honest. And then you're looking at,
does not miss. He just doesn't miss open shots.
The other side, too. Now you're looking at LeBron James, arguably one of the best players to ever live physical-wise. I mean, the guy has got the physical gift and the talent, and he is the best player in the the NBA right now. He really is. I wouldn't say he's the best shooter because he's the guy he's facing, but he is definitely the best all-around player. This should be an interesting series. I'm really excited for it. I'll be honest. I think a lot of NBA fans will be excited. I mean, if you wanted to see an NBA final, what other better NBA final were you going to see?
Yeah.
You weren't going to see a better one than this. This is an ideal. The Warriors are playing at such an incredible level. The one thing the Warriors were always missing was their defensive presence. And this year, Steve Kerr has got this team with a different mindset, defensive-wise. And, I mean, this is a guy that's won. I mean, he played with Jordan. He knows what it takes to win.
I think also having Draymond Green playing the way he's been playing.
The defensive guy is unbelievable. Second-round draft pick, Draymond Green. And honestly, probably the best second-round pick in the last 3 or 4 years. Aside from maybe like Paul Millsap.
I mean, just, kind of adding him to Andrew Bogut as well. That was a good pickup for them. Yep. That was a huge pickup for them.
Their defensive mind is crazy, and it's not even just from these guys too. I mean, you look at Curry. I mean, I'll tell you right now, go watch Stephen Curry from 2 years ago to Steph Curry right now, the defensive side of the basketball, and you'll see a completely different person. Yeah. Same thing with Klay Thompson. 2 years ago, go watch Klay Thompson play on the defensive side of the basketball, and you go watch him play now. Exactly, and that's why they were never winning. Yeah, they were scoring 100 points every game. I mean, their shooting never went away. Yeah. I mean, Steph Curry shooting, even Draymond Green shooting is up there. I mean,
it's gotten a lot better.
Without a doubt. Klay Thompson too. These guys can all shoot the basketball. They were scoring 100 points every game. And they still weren't winning games because their defensive prowess wasn't there, and it's there now. And I'll tell you, it's better than ever. I mean, you got the upgrades from the Cleveland Cavaliers and their defensive side of the ball with Iman Shumpert, and it's going to be a fun series.
And you know what? Nobody really talks about it, but a big acquisition. I mean, Timofey Mozgov.
Yeah, the defensive side. And they might even get Varejao back for this series, too. You're looking at 15 rebounds a game in Anderson Varejao. It's going to be fun. It's going to be back and forth. I can't tell you. I mean, Vegas can't tell you. Nobody can tell you who's going to win this series. This is going to be one that's going to it's going to be back and forth.
Let's just go by this, and we'll end the show with this. An interviewer basically asked LeBron James, how are you going to stop Stephen Curry?
You're not.
And he basically said, the same way you stop me. You can't.
Yep, exactly.
And right there, that's the headline of this finals. Everybody check it out. First game is Thursday.
Yep, 9 o'clock.
And
game 1 from the western side in Golden State.
And Wednesday is the first game for the NHL finals. That's going to be a very, very, very good final. Definitely keep an eye on that. But that will do it for the Tom and Jerry Sports Show.
Have a good day, guys.
I'm Jerry.
I'm Donnie.
Be breezy. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Tom and Jerry Show.
You know, our jobs occupy more than half our waking hours. Shouldn't we be doing something we love? Call Connecticut School of Broadcasting at 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to GoCSB.com. Since 1964, Connecticut School of Broadcasting, with a network of 12 campuses from Massachusetts to Miami, has helped place thousands of grads as DJs, sportscasters, entertainment reporters, behind the scenes in audio and video production, every aspect of the broadcast media. Connecticut School of Broadcasting has trained men and women of all ages and backgrounds in a matter of months, not years. Learn by doing from area radio and TV pros. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to GoCSB.com. Remember, It's never too late to love what you do. Day and evening classes begin soon. Get trained. Get connected now.